Hey guys, Gerald Richardson here, real estate investor and realtor. I was asked to talk more about our rooming houses. As most of you know that have been following my videos, we shift from in real estate investment strategy from doing mostly fix and flips to keeping the houses we acquire and converting them into shared living rentals. We currently have 15 doors over three houses, two in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and one in Durham. And we are in the process of standing up another rooming house in Rocky Mount. One question I received was, why are you doing rooming houses instead of short-term rentals or even long-term rentals? If I have to choose between doing short-term rentals or like Airbnbs versus long-term rentals, I probably would choose long-term. Even though the returns and cash flow for long-terms are typically not as much as you would get for short-term rentals. In my opinion, running an Airbnb is essentially running an hotel, which comes with all the headaches and risk, which is something I personally rather not have. Rooming houses give a better return than long-term rentals. It does require a little bit more hands-on, especially during the setup, but not as nearly as much as running in a hotel. I also like the idea of providing something that is very much in need. We provide safe, clean, and affordable housing to folks that are in need. Most are looking for a place for a few months to stay while saving money. Others may no longer be able to afford the rent on their own, and living in a shared housing arrangements may be their only option. Here's another question I receive. Do you ever have issues with your tenants? So overall, our tenants have been great, but occasionally issues like late rent payments do arise, which is common for landlords. With rooming houses where housemates are in close proximity, clashes are a possibility. I try to minimize them by establishing house rules that all the tenants must follow or risk being evicted. And they're posted in the common areas and included in the lease. When we first started, we used to provide amenities such as coffee, paper towels, and other amenities at all of our rooming houses. However, I since stopped that, and that's because at a particular house, due to conflicts that came up, when one of the tenants used to hoard them away from the others, so it created some conflicts between the housemates. Another issue that came up one time is where a tenant used to walk around the house with his firearm on his hip. And whenever an argument or a heated conversation came up between him and his housemates, he would start patting his gun. Obviously, this made all the other housemates really nervous. So I had to have a serious conversation with that tenant and ended up implementing a no firearms policy in all our room houses. Okay, last question. How do you find your properties and what criteria do you use? So the room houses that we have now were off-market deals, but we do have properties in our rental portfolio that we purchased from MLS, also known as the multiple listing service. Typically, when the house is for sale on MLS, it's pretty much an all-market listing. The house that we currently are setting up in the rooming house that we're currently setting up in Rocky Mount was purchased from MLS as well. Our off-market deals are either sourced through wholesalers or we purchase them directly from the homeowner, where they came to us as a lead and we were able to work that lead and acquire the house. Finding great deals on the MLS is rare nowadays. Even with most of the off-market deals that come across my desk, the numbers aren't that great. And that's mostly due to inflated real estate prices, along with the construction material, the price of the construction that hasn't really come down since COVID. Not all properties you can fix and flip would make great rentals. And that's because there's a disconnect between the market rent for a house in an area versus its appreciated value, meaning that a house could be worth a lot, but wouldn't cash flow due to the low market rent. Nevertheless, any high quality rental property, if acquired at a good discounted price, has the potential to be an excellent investment for resale. When looking at properties that you want to convert into rooming houses, you would have to consider several things. One being the floor plan and the layout of the house. Are the rooms accurately sized enough to rent out individually? Are the rooms situated around the common areas like the kitchen and the laundry? Are there enough parking spots, parking spaces? Is the house close to a bus line, shopping center, or other amenities? Is there an HOA or restricted covenants that may impact the rental? Our rooming houses are in communities or areas that do not have an HOA or restricted covenants. I'm not saying that's not possible to have rooming houses with an HOA, but more and more communities are passing covenants preventing properties from being rented out for less than a year at a time. Obviously, that restriction will impact the ability to have short-term rentals and Airbnbs. For our rooming houses, because initial leases are for 3 months, then they go month to month afterwards. We would not be able to do that without changing the lease terms. Another thing to consider is the bathrooms. We found that most prospective tenants prefer to have their bathrooms have their own bathroom with a room. Rooms with private bathrooms typically command a higher rent, but most houses aren't designed this way. You would either have to add a bathroom if it was feasible, or use the existing configuration and rent out the rooms with shared bathrooms. And that's all the question I have for now. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this video. Let me know if you have any questions or any comments, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.